I'm Bridget Cole, 35, a marketing manager in Lincoln, Nebraska, living a life I built entirely from scratch. That day, during a tense morning meeting at work, my phone buzzed on the table, breaking my focus. A text from my sister lit up the screen. Send me $2, $800 for prom. I froze, jaw tightening. $2,800. For a dress and one night of partying, I typed back, "Earn it yourself." Minutes later, my parents' reply landed like a slap. "Pay or get out of this family." My heart pounded. For years, I had sent them money believing it was only for emergencies or urgent needs. But this demand that I fund my sister's prom or be disowned, anger surged through me mixed with something sharper, the painful realization that maybe they had been taking me for granted far longer than I had ever wanted to admit. That night, after hours of pacing and replaying their words in my head, I made a choice. My fingers hovered, then pressed, cancel, cancel, cancel everything. By 8:30 the next morning, my entire world had shifted upside down, and soon after I uncovered a truth so shocking you won't believe it. If you've ever faced family pressure like this, share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear how you handled it. And stay tuned because more real stories like mine are coming your way. To understand why my sister's text shocked me, you need to know about my family. I built my life from nothing, no handouts, no shortcuts. Growing up, I learned early that hard work was my only way out. My parents never saw it that way. My mother and father poured everything into my sister, their golden child, the baby of the family. I was 17 when she was born, already fending for myself, working part-time jobs while they doted on her every whim. My mother, always the decision-maker, and my father, her quiet supporter, lived beyond their means. They'd buy my sister designer clothes, throw lavish birthday parties, even fund her weekend trips with friends despite their shaky finances. Their house in the suburbs of Lincoln was a constant money pit, always needing repairs they couldn't afford. Meanwhile, I was grinding through college, juggling two jobs, determined to make it on my own. By 25, I landed my first marketing gig. By 30, I was running campaigns for major clients, living comfortably alone, no strings attached. My parents, they saw me as their safety net. 4 years ago, I set up a joint family account to help them cover bills, utilities, groceries, the basics. I thought I was doing the right thing, easing their stress. I was too busy to monitor it closely, assuming they'd use it responsibly. My sister, though, grew up expecting everything on a silver platter. At 18, she's hooked on luxury $500 dresses, $200 dinners, you name it. My parents enabled it, draining their savings to keep her happy. I didn't realize how deep it went until now. I always felt like the outsider, the one who had to prove herself while my sister got a free pass. My mother would say, "She's young, let her enjoy life." My father just nodded along. I kept my head down, built my career, and sent money when they asked. But that account I set up, it was my biggest mistake. I trusted them, thought they needed it for necessities. Looking back, I see the signs: new jewelry on my sister, my mother's vague excuses about unexpected expenses. I should have questioned it sooner. My whole life, I've been the responsible one, the one who fixed their messes. Yet somehow, I'm the one they turn on when I say no. Growing up, I'd hear my mother's voice, sharp and dismissive, whenever I asked for help. "Figure it out, Bridget." But for my sister, they'd drop everything. I remember her 10th birthday, $2,000 on a princess-themed party, while I worked weekends to pay for textbooks. My father once said, "She's our second chance to get it right." It stung, but I swallowed it, kept pushing forward. My sister's demands grew bolder each year. New phones, concert tickets, shopping sprees. My parents never blinked, even when their bank account was in the red. I thought I was helping by setting up that account, but I was blind to how they used it. I've spent years proving I don't need them, building a life I'm proud of. My sister, though, she's never had to lift a finger. My parents made sure of that, no matter the cost. And me, I'm the one they expect to foot the bill. That day, I was working when my phone started buzzing nonstop. My sister's text glared from the screen. I need $2,800 for prom. Send it now. My blood boiled. $2,800 for a high school dance. For a dress she'd wear once and a limo to show off, I typed back, my fingers shaking with irritation. No way. Get a job and earn it yourself. I hit send, expecting her to sulk, maybe send a whining reply. Instead, my phone rang seconds later. Her voice was shrill, dripping with entitlement. You're so selfish, Bridget. It's just prom. Why can't you help me? I gripped the phone tighter, forcing myself to stay calm. You're 18, I said. Plenty of kids work part-time for prom. Try it. She scoffed, her tone venomous. You don't get it. I deserve this. Before I could respond, she hung up, leaving me staring at a blank screen, my stomach churning. Deserve it? Since when did she deserve my money? I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept replaying her words. I'd spent years proving I could stand on my own while she got everything handed to her. The unfairness stung, a sharp reminder of every time my parents chose her over me. I remembered begging for $50 for a school trip at 16, only to hear my mother snap, "We can't afford it." Yet my sister got $200 for concert tickets without blinking. By noon, I heard her voice again, this time through a voicemail she didn't mean to send. Mom, Dad, Bridget's being impossible, she whined. Tell her to pay. I froze, picturing her pacing their suburban living room, playing the victim as always. Minutes later, my mother's text hit like a blade. Pay for your sister's prom, or don't bother calling yourself part of this family. My father's message followed, short and ice cold. Do the right thing, Bridget. My hands trembled as I read it again. The right thing. I'd sent them thousands over the years, $1,000 for their mortgage, $2,000 for emergencies, countless smaller amounts to cover their bills. And now they were threatening to disown me over a prom dress. My chest tightened, a mix of anger and betrayal. This wasn't just about prom. Something was off, and I could feel it in my bones. I called my sister back, hoping for clarity. Why is this such a big deal? I asked, my voice steady despite the rage bubbling inside. Ask Mom and Dad, she shot back. They said you'd pay. It's my right. Her right. I nearly laughed at the absurdity. You don't have a right to my money, I said. Grow up, she screamed. You're ruining everything, and hung up again. I sat there, my heart pounding, replaying every call, every vague excuse my mother gave when I sent money. We're struggling, Bridget, she'd say, her voice always too quick, too rehearsed. My father's rare calls always ended the same. Can you help us out? I'd never questioned it, too busy with work, too trusting of family. By afternoon, I was pacing my office, ignoring emails, my thoughts spiraling. My sister's entitlement wasn't new, but this demand felt different, bolder, almost planned. I pulled up my banking app, scrolling through years of transfers to that family account. Thousands sent, no questions asked. $1,500 here, $800 there, always with a promise it was for necessities. My mother's excuses echoed. The car broke down, or we had a rough month. I'd believed them, thought I was helping. Now their threats felt like a script they'd rehearsed too many times. I texted my mother, why is prom worth disowning me? No reply. I tried my father. Explain this, Dad. Silence. Their refusal to answer only deepened the knot in my chest. I sat back, staring at my phone, the weight of their words sinking in. They weren't just demanding money, they were bullying me, using family as a weapon. I thought about the joint account, the one I'd set up to help them. I hadn't checked it in years, too caught up in deadlines and meetings. What had they been doing with it? My sister's tantrum, my parents' quick threats. It wasn't just about a dress. This was bigger, and I was done playing their game. After my parents' texts, I got an unusual bank notification. It was late Tuesday afternoon, and my inbox pinged with an email from the bank managing our joint family account. The subject line screamed urgency, large transaction alert. My heart sank as I opened it. A transfer of $5,000 had gone out that morning without my approval. I stared at the screen, my pulse quickening. $5,000. To where I'd set up that account to help with their bills, not to fund mysterious withdrawals. My mind flashed to my parents' threats, their insistence I pay for my sister's prom. This wasn't a coincidence. I called my sister immediately, hoping for some explanation. "What's going on with the family account?" I asked, keeping my voice firm. Her response was evasive, her tone sharp. "I don't know, ask Mom and Dad," she snapped. "Why are you always so suspicious?" I pressed harder. $5,000 just vanished. "You know anything about it?" She laughed, a cold, dismissive sound. "You're overreacting. It's probably nothing." Then she hung up, leaving me fuming. Her refusal to answer only sharpened my suspicions. She wasn't just dodging, she was hiding something. I couldn't sit still. I needed answers, and I knew I couldn't trust my family to give them. That's when I reached out to Ellen Ward, my friend and a lawyer who worked down the hall at my marketing firm. I texted her, "Can we talk? It's urgent." She replied within minutes, suggesting we meet at her office that evening. By 6:00 p.m., I was sitting across from Ellen, her desk piled with legal files. I explained the bank alert, my sister's deflection, and my parents' threats. "Something's wrong with the family account," I said, my voice tight with frustration. "I need to know what they're doing with it." Ellen nodded, her expression calm but focused. "Let's start by pulling the account records," she said, opening her laptop. She logged into the bank's portal with the credentials I provided, her fingers moving quickly. Within minutes, she found a trail of transactions I hadn't seen in years. "There are multiple large withdrawals," she said, her brow furrowing. "Some to creditors, others to retail accounts." I leaned forward, my stomach twisting. "Creditors? Retail. What kind of retail?" I asked. Ellen scrolled through the records. High-end stores, boutiques, jewelry, even a travel agency. My mind raced. This wasn't about utility bills or groceries. Ellen kept digging, pulling up statements from the past year. "It looks like your parents have been using the account to pay off debts," she said. "Credit cards, a car loan, even a second mortgage." I felt a wave of betrayal wash over me. Debts. They'd never mentioned a second mortgage. I remembered their calls, always asking for a little help to cover unexpected costs. I'd sent money without question, thinking I was keeping their heads above water. Now I saw the truth: they'd been draining the account to prop up their lifestyle. Then Ellen pointed to another set of transactions. "These are smaller but consistent," she said. "Payments to clothing stores, restaurants, even a prom planner." A prom planner. My sister's $2,800 demand flashed in my mind. "They've been funding her spending," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Ellen nodded. "It seems your parents have been using your money to cover their debts and give your sister whatever she wants." I sat back, stunned. All those years I thought I was helping with necessities. Instead, I'd been bankrolling their lies. I left Ellen's office with a sinking feeling. My parents weren't just pressuring me for prom money, they were hiding a pattern of deception. I needed more proof. But one thing was clear: I couldn't let this go on. The next day, I returned to Ellen's office. The room was dimly lit, her desk piled high with files, but Ellen's gaze remained razor-sharp. She pushed a stack of documents toward me, her expression grim. "These are the bank records," she said. "You're not going to like this." My stomach twisted as I scanned the first page. Over 4 years, $100,000 had been withdrawn from the joint family account, my money siphoned off without a word. A stab of betrayal hit me. I'd trusted them, believed I was helping with their struggles. Instead, they'd been bleeding me dry. Ellen pointed to the transaction logs. "Your parents made dozens of large transfers," she said, flipping through the pages. "Some went to credit card companies, others to a car loan, even a second mortgage they never mentioned." I felt my throat tighten. A second mortgage. They'd always said the house was nearly paid off. Then she showed me another section, smaller withdrawals but constant, to boutiques, jewelry stores, and a travel agency for my sister's trips. Prom expenses, too, Ellen added, circling a $3,000 payment to a high-end event planner. My sister's $2,800 demand suddenly made sense. She'd been raised to expect my money as her own. I leaned back, my mind reeling. Every call from my mother, every plea for a little help flashed through my head. I'd sent thousands thinking it was for necessities, groceries, utilities, their survival. Now I saw the truth. They'd used me to fund their debts and my sister's lavish lifestyle. How could they do this? I whispered more to myself than Ellen. She shook her head. People justify anything when they're desperate. Her words stung, but they were true. I knew what I had to do. The next morning, Wednesday, I called the bank and instructed them to close the joint account. It took 10 minutes, but each step felt like cutting a chain. I'd spent years tying myself to their problems, and now I was done. With the account frozen, I drafted an email to my parents and sister, keeping it short and cold. The joint account is closed. I know about the $100,000. No more money. I hit send, my hands steady but my chest heavy. This wasn't just about money, it was about trust, and they'd shattered it. Within hours, my phone exploded. My sister called, first her voice a mix of panic and rage. "You can't do this," she shouted. "We need that account." I stayed calm, though my pulse raced. "Need it for what?" "More designer dresses." I asked. She sputtered, then screamed, "You're tearing this family apart," and hung up. My mother's text came next, a wall of words. "How dare you accuse us? We needed that money to survive. Survive on luxury trips and prom planners." My father's message was shorter, but no less desperate. "Bridget, think about what you're doing to us." I didn't reply. Their excuses rang hollow. I called Ellen to update her. "They're freaking out," I said, my voice shaking with a mix of anger and relief. She wasn't surprised. "They're scared because their safety net is gone," she said. "You did the right thing." I wasn't so sure. Closing the account felt like freedom, but it also felt like losing the family I'd spent years trying to hold together. Their lies had changed everything, and I wasn't sure what came next. 1 week later, I drove to my parents' house in suburban Lincoln. My hands gripped the steering wheel, a folder of bank documents tucked beside me. The weight of what I was about to do pressed against my chest. I'd spent days preparing, replaying Ellen's findings. $100,000 drained from the joint account over 4 years, part of a larger mess. $500,000 in debts my parents had racked up. Today, I'd face them and lay it all bare. No more lies. I walked into their living room, the air thick with tension. My mother sat on the couch, her eyes already narrow. My father stood by the window, arms crossed, his face unreadable. My sister slouched in an armchair, staring at her phone, avoiding my gaze. I didn't waste time. "I know everything," I said, dropping the folder onto the coffee table. "The account I set up to help you, you took $100,000. And you're drowning in $500,000 of debt." I spread the documents out: bank statements, transaction logs, proof of their spending. Credit card payments, a car loan, a second mortgage they'd hidden. And worse, thousands funneled into my sister's designer clothes and trips. My mother's face crumpled, but not with guilt. "How could you dig into our private business?" she snapped, her voice trembling. "This is family." I felt a wave of fury. Family, I'd given them everything, and they'd used me. "You lied to me," I said, my voice steady despite the hurt. "You said it was for bills, for survival. Instead, you funded her lifestyle." I pointed at my sister, who still wouldn't look up. My father stepped forward, his tone sharp. "You don't understand, Bridget. We had no choice. Debts pile up. You were supposed to help us." I stared at him, stunned. "Supposed to help? I sent thousands every year," I said. "And you blew it on things you couldn't afford." My mother cut in, tears streaming now. "You're so selfish. We did this for her, for your sister's future." I glanced at my sister, expecting some defense, some apology. She stayed silent, her face blank, letting our parents fight her battle. That silence cut deeper than their words. She wasn't just complicit, she was entitled to it all. My father's voice grew louder. You can't walk away from us, he said, his eyes blazing. We're your family. You owe us. Owe them. The audacity burned in my throat. I don't owe you anything, I said, my voice rising. I closed the account. No more money. You're on your own. My mother gasped, clutching her chest like I'd struck her. You're abandoning us, she cried. My sister finally looked up, her eyes flashing with panic, but she said nothing. I held their gazes, refusing to back down. You abandoned me first, I said. You used my trust, my savings for years. The room erupted. My mother shouted about loyalty. My father accused me of betrayal, and my sister just sat there mute as if none of this was her fault. I gathered the documents, my hands shaking with rage and relief. I'm done, I said, walking to the door. Their voices followed me, a chorus of anger and desperation, but I didn't turn back. I'd given them a chance to explain, and all I got was blame. This was the end of their hold on me. After the meeting, I returned home and made my final decision. The weight of my family's betrayal sat heavy, but I knew what I had to do. I'd already closed the joint account, but that wasn't enough. I opened my phone, blocked my parents' numbers, and filtered their emails to spam. My sister's number went next. Each tap felt like severing a thread I'd spent years tying myself to. It hurt, but it also brought a quiet strength. I was done being their financial crutch. Months passed and word reached me through a distant cousin. My parents had filed for bankruptcy. The $500,000 in debts, credit cards, loans, that hidden second mortgage had crushed them. Their house in suburban Lincoln, the one they'd sworn was nearly paid off, was gone. I pictured movers hauling their furniture away, my mother crying, my father staring blankly. Part of me ached for them, but another part felt nothing. They'd built this mess using my money to delay the inevitable. I'd given them chances and they'd thrown them away. My sister faced her own reckoning. Without my parents' handouts, she had to grow up fast. The cousin mentioned she'd taken a part-time job at a clothing store, folding shirts and ringing up customers. I imagined her standing behind a counter, forced to earn what she'd once demanded from me. The girl who thought $2, $800 prom dresses were her right was learning to stand on her own. I didn't feel triumph, just a bittersweet relief. Maybe she'd understand one day what I'd tried to teach her. As for me, I found a new kind of peace. The constant calls, the guilt trips, the demands, they were gone. I focused on my life, my career, my savings. I started seeing a therapist to unpack the years of manipulation, to rebuild the confidence my family had chipped away. Setting boundaries wasn't easy. It meant letting go of the hope that they'd change, that they'd see me as more than a bank account. But it also meant freedom. I learned to say no, to protect my own future, to stop letting their chaos define me. Looking back, this whole ordeal taught me something vital: family doesn't mean obligation. Love shouldn't come with a price tag. I spent years thinking I had to save them, that their problems were mine to fix. I was wrong. Setting boundaries, taking control of my finances, and walking away from toxicity, that's what saved me. If you're out there caught in a similar cycle, know this: you don't owe anyone your security. Protect yourself first. It's not selfish, it's survival. To everyone listening, thank you for following my story. It's been a tough road, but sharing it helps me heal. I'd love to hear your experiences. Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. If this resonated with you, hit that subscribe button and join me for more real stories. Your support means everything.